Well, on this nice rainy day, we've got another interesting myth or concern here, which is that Tesla can access your car cameras and potentially spy on you. Is this something that we should be realistically concerned about?
Ooh, interesting one. See, to me, this is something that we should have been worried about 20 years ago. Not with Tesla, they weren't much around at the time, but with mobile phones. Because today you have a mobile phone, and most people have some sort of assistant. This is Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant, one of those. And these listen in to every single word you say, and they're listening for you to say, Siri, answer this, or Google, answer me that, or Alexa, what's the time? And that means that every single word you say is already being listened to on your mobile phone if you have these assistants on your phone. In addition to that, every single move that phone makes is being recorded by whoever supplies the phone, by Google, Apple, or your phone provider. So all of us, have already been monitored. Every single inch we move, every single word we say, we've already been monitored for the last 15 or 20 years anyhow. And all of a sudden now, people are worried about a camera inside an EV, and oh my goodness, this is the end of our privacy. Yeah, it happened a long time ago. On mine, I don't have a camera on the inside of the car. I do have driver assist features on the car, and that requires me to tell the car I'm still here on occasion. And with me, it's something called a nudge. So when I'm working with the autopilot, I have to keep touching the wheel from time to time, and that just tells the car I'm still here, and actually I'm monitoring what it's doing. On Fords, for example, Ford F-150 and the Mach-E, they now have a camera which monitors your eyes. And if your eyes stray from the road ahead, it will actually warn you. And if you don't put your eyes back in where it thinks you should be looking, it will disable those driver assist features. So this is now common to an awful lot of cars, not Teslas, but to most cars. And so it's something we have to get used to. It is a safety feature. But the idea that this has suddenly happened with EVs is just crazy. It's been happening ever since you've had a mobile phone. And it probably happened an awful long time before that with street cameras. They've been monitoring you. They have facial recognition everywhere you walk. And we want them because in the event of an incident, how many times have the police said, we've gone back over the footage, we've tracked this person down, we've followed him back to where he comes from, and we've gone and arrested him. You think, oh, great, these CCTV cameras, they're great because we can apprehend criminals. How many of you think, oh, I don't want them recording me because it's an invasion of my privacy? You have to realise that these things are going on all the time. And you have to realise that, yeah, some of them are good, some of them are bad, but you have to take the rough with the smooth.
This is one that certainly gets asked a lot, or raised a lot, which is that EVs depreciate too quickly.
Yep, and yes and no. The problem is that let me go back a bit. Depreciate from what? My wife, when she goes shopping, will see these designer handbags in these designer outlets. A lot of ladies go shopping in these places, and you'll see a handbag there, and it'll say, was £1,000, today only £150. And I think anyhow, wow, that's depreciation. This handbag has dropped in price from £1,000 down to £150. That is massive depreciation. Yet my wife will happily go and buy that handbag for £150. It's all relative to what the original price was. And my question is, was the handbag ever actually sold at £1,000? With EVs, what you find is they came out with these absolutely crazy recommended prices. Take, for example, a Vauxhall Corsa. This is a tiny little car. The petrol version was about £15,000, and they were releasing the Vauxhall Corsa EV at £32,000 list price. It never sold. So eventually they registered them, put them on Auto Trader, and they were selling them on Auto Trader for 16, 17, 18,000 pounds, brand new, registered, not used on the road. And people were saying they've depreciated 50%. They haven't, because they were never ever going to sell at the £32,000 list price that they tried to sell them at. The realistic price they should have sold them at originally was probably £20,000, and therefore it's a totally artificial figure. If you go on one of the leasing sites, Lease Loco is a classic one. They've got a table now on their site, open to all the public, which gives you a list of all the depreciation. And the top depreciating cars at the moment are all petrol. This is open to all on the website. They're all petrol. And something like a Model 3 is Tesla Model 3 is one of the least depreciating cars on their website. They know, because they have to work out the depreciation when they do a lease, because the value of the lease depends on how much that car is going to be worth when the lease ends. So don't take my word for it. EVs, against the proper price they should be sold at, depreciate no more, no less than any other car at its proper price. It's the stupid price they tried to get for these cars that actually gave them this stupid, seemingly high depreciation.
Following on from depreciation and sort of the issues with going to electric vehicles, Hertz famously placed a very large order for Teslas and ended up having to sell them on because it couldn't make them work. So if Hertz, a giant company that would have done a lot of research into the product, can't make them work, then how are they any good for the average consumer?
Yeah, it's a cracking question, and it's a strange answer as well, in that Hertz, you say, did a huge amount of research and they've got it wrong. How much research did they actually do if they've got it so absolutely badly wrong? And the answer is nowhere near enough, because they got it badly wrong. Hertz buy the cars for one reason, that's to make a profit. They make a profit by, first of all, renting it out, and that makes them a profit while they own the car. They then will sell the car, hopefully for a profit. So in effect, it's a lease that they're doing. They buy the car at one price, they get an income from renting it out while they own it, and then they sell it for a set price when they're finished with it, and it's always at a set time. They sell them after 1, 2, 3, 5 years, whatever it is. So effectively, Hertz operate a lease. What they did was they hopelessly, totally got that wrong. They totally got the value that car would be at the end of 2, 3 years totally wrong, and they worked out that they could not make a profit out of that car because the value at the end of 3 years would be less than they calculated. They worked out they were going to make a loss, and so they decided to cut their loss and just get shot at them. What has that got to do with a private owner? If you go on the Tesla website today and you buy you lease a Tesla Model Y, they're currently £350 a month. It's a cracking deal. You don't find an awful lot else for that price on any other leasing company out there for any other car. It's a beautiful deal. Now, if you lease that car for the next, I think it's a 4-year lease actually, 3 or 4 year lease, £350 a month. If that car then depreciates down to nothing, you still pay £350 a month and you hand it back at the end of the lease. What's that got to do with Hertz? The answer is nothing. Hertz look at cars purely as a business deal, and they got their sums wrong. You and I look at a car purely as a form of transport, and if we can afford the car and hand it back at the end of the leasing deal, and we can afford the payments in the meantime, that's great. It's a totally different concept. What would have been really good, and it's really sad that I couldn't do it, was it would have been really good if I lived in America to actually buy those cars, because they were selling them off really cheap. Nothing wrong with the cars. It's just that those cars did not fit in with Hertz's business model, in that they miscalculated how much they would be worth after 2-3 years.
Another thing that comes up, more so back in the day, I haven't heard it as much recently, is that EVs are too quiet and therefore too dangerous for residential areas.
I've heard this one and it absolutely baffles me. I think I'm going to show my age on this one, because there were a lot of television campaigns in my youth about aimed at the young, and to try to get them to be road savvy so that they didn't get run down. And one of the ones I remember, and people of my similar age will remember these, we had the Green Cross Man. We had a load of campaigns and they were really quite effective. And one of the big ones was Stop, Look, Listen. And it was, if you're crossing the road, stop, look both ways, listen before you cross the road. And I'm thinking, with the invention of EVs, have we discounted the middle one? Look. So the answer now is, when you get to a road, you stop, you listen, and if you don't hear anything, you walk across. Is this crazy? When you get to a road, you stop, you look both ways, and if it's clear, you listen and walk across. But surely you don't rely on listening before crossing the road and don't look. I just find this one absolutely insane, that anyone would cross a road purely by listening. I absolutely discount this one.
The other thing to bear in mind is EVs are not silent.
Yeah.
The tyre noise is still
Yeah.
one of the main sources of noise.
Yeah.
And whilst it doesn't have a motor engine noise, it has an electric motor noise, and that's very distinct. You can hear that coming.
And what about cyclists?
Outside.
What about electric bikes, electric scooters?
Yeah.
The idea that because EVs are quiet, you're going to get run over is just, to me, absolutely insane. And yet the people asking it seem to be asking it in a sane way. No, if you're crossing a road, go to the edge of the road, stop, look both ways, listen, check there are no bikes, no cars, no electric scooters, no nothing. If it's clear, cross the road. Really simple. Have a go.
Well, that brings us to the end of our rainy day adventures. I hope that you have all enjoyed us addressing some of these EV myths, these concerns, these fears that people have around it, and hopefully it's put your mind at ease. And of course, as ever, if you vehemently disagree with everything that's been said, let us know where we've gone wrong. I'm Jonas.
I'm Dave.
Thank you for watching.